A lot of successful non-tech founders seem to be bursting with ideas for apps and SaaS products. Every time they bend over and fart, another one comes flying out. Meanwhile, some of us struggle to think of any idea at all, let alone good ones. You could stand behind that first guy and wait for the smell to inspire you, or you could watch this video and stop waiting for ideas to come to you. You go to the ideas. The end goal of this video is for you to have a flow of action items that will help you determine the next app or SaaS product you want to create. First thing we need to do is tackle idea generation. Without that, you don't really have anything. So we'll look at 3 steps you can take to reliably discover new ideas. Once you get an idea, or if you're that guy who's got a bunch of them, we move on to part 2, how to decide if an idea is worth investing your time and money into developing. My name is Adrian Ching and I own a mobile app development agency in Malaysia where we work with non-tech founders to bring their ideas to life. And I have nothing to sell you. Okay, I do have something to sell you, but I'll do it at the end. For now, let's get to part 1. Idea generation. If you've ever had creative classes at school, you'll probably be familiar with the brainstorming session that actually happens before the actual writing. At this stage, you're not evaluating the ideas. You just want to get as many as you can, as long as they're logical and legal. Apps and software are products. Products need to solve problems. So to find an idea for a product, you first need to find a problem. The first way to do that, and which I personally find the best, is to leverage your industry experience. Look to your professional experiences and passions. If you have experience teaching, what are problems faced by stakeholders in education? I wouldn't know. I'm not in education. If you play a musical instrument, what are problems faced by stakeholders in the music industry? I wouldn't know. This is the only keyboard I play. Nothing compares to personal experience when you're actually about that life. You are uniquely placed to notice real problems and think up solutions that work. Because you're solving a problem, if you wouldn't use your solution to a problem you face, what are the odds other people will? Real life example, Mark made by ex-teacher James Holmes. James, like every public school teacher ever, found that marking his students' work took up a huge chunk of his work. So much so that he was doing unpaid overtime constantly. And of course, if he's facing it, it's a fair assumption that other teachers are facing it too. Most teachers sigh and suck it up. James created MarkMate. MarkMate allows teachers to mark their students' work using voice recognition software hooked up to a printer. So instead of having to manually mark the work, teachers just have to utter their feedback aloud and it gets recorded, transcribed, and printed out as a physical sticker. After Mark appeared on Dragon's Den to promote it, his product saw success and adoption from UK school teachers. It's not mind-blowing success, as ZoomInfo says their revenue is still under $5 million. Keep in mind, ZoomInfo isn't the most accurate, but I'll give it the benefit of a doubt. And you know, success isn't just about how much money you make. And if you look at recent reviews of MarkMate, you can see that many teachers find it solves their problems. And to me, satisfied customers are a huge source of satisfaction. Number 2, leverage your life experience. After industry experience, the next best thing is to take a step back and look at your everyday life and think, when was the last time I faced a problem? What was that problem? I think this is less useful than industry experience because it's less focused. You're looking at your whole life and the options can be overwhelming. We all face so many problems. Where do we start? Some types of problem lend themselves better to app or SaaS-based solutions, including but not limited to security, convenience, communication, and integration. Real-life example, Stripe by the Collison brothers. When Patrick and John Collison launched Stripe as an alternative online payment gateway in 2010, they weren't thinking, I want to make money. They were thinking, I want to make it easy to spend money. The brothers were annoyed by how tedious PayPal was to use. For example, back then, PayPal used to redirect you from wherever you were to its own website to complete payment. The Collisons were like, nah, let's keep it all on the same page. And so they did just that. Stripe's user-friendly features and easy to integrate API created loyal customers, and the company made over $10 billion in revenue in 2021. Number 3, secondary research. Let's say you've tried the above 2 methods and nothing. You try and try, you can't find any problems with your life, work, and hobbies. They're all just nice and you wouldn't change anything. You go to sleep, wake up with a smile every morning because you can't wait to live your perfect life. I hate you. Alright, that's pretty unlikely, but let's say it happens. There is a third option. And it's my least favorite because it is the most time consuming, the least likely to grant a competitive advantage, and the least accurate. That is desktop research. Pick an industry or a profession and go to Google. Type in problems faced by industry free report. Limit the search results to only ones in the past year. You'll sometimes see free reports from big analyst firms like Gartner or McKinsey. I don't think those are wrong, but they tend to be very high level and catered more towards big companies. Like revenue in the hundreds of millions of dollars, kind of big. You will get there one day. But today, let's look at something more down to earth. Let's check out this article. 10 major challenges facing public schools. This part sticks out to me. Okay, sounds like a problem, but this could have been written by anyone. It could have been written by a bot. It might be outdated or blown out of proportion. Let's see what actual stakeholders are saying about it right now. Back to Google, but now we're going to be looking for recent Reddit threads that can either verify or debunk the severity of bullying. Remember to keep the search results to past year only. In fact, you could make it even more recent if you want to. For the record, it is the 17th of February 2023. Those are some pretty decent results. Let's look at some of them. Let's check out why are schools so shockingly bad at dealing with bullying. It's from the Ask UK subreddit, by the way. Here's the question, and these are the things that are jumping out at me. 360 responses, not bad. Let's see the top comment. Jackpot. This is exactly what we want to see. It's a reply from someone claiming to be a teacher. Of course, on the internet, you can be anything you want, but usually on Reddit, if it smells fishy, other Redditors will call you out. This poster passes the white check. Alright, there you go. It sounds like bullying is still a thing in 2023. And instead of classics like veggies and vet villies, the bullies have diversified their methods. Teachers also feel helpless because they can't do much and it's very difficult to suspend or expel bullies. This immediately gives me an idea for an app. All Voices for schools. All Voices is an app that allows employees to anonymously report bad workplace behavior like harassment, favoritism, and corruption. It skips middle management and goes straight to the C-suite. I'm thinking something similar might be useful here. An app that allows bully victims or witnesses to send a report straight to school administration, or if needed, the school has the ability to send it straight to the police, who can then communicate directly with the victims. I'm sure you can see the glaring drawback of this method because I'm an outsider looking in. I lack on-the-ground experience. So I'll have to spend a lot of time researching things that someone with first-hand experience would already know. Look, is it a good idea? I don't know. Is it an idea? Hell yeah! And that's the point of this stage anyways. We got our idea, now to see if it's worth developing. Hey guys, if you find this information so far useful, please subscribe to help me grow this channel. Think it could be better? Let me know what you'd like to see in the comments. Alright, back to the video. Part 2. Idea validation. The problem you've uncovered is real, and your solution sounds like it will work. Two more things to find out. Market size and cost versus price point. Market size. It's all about seriousness and frequency of the problem. The more serious the problem, the more people are willing to pay for it. The more frequent the problem, the more often people will pay for it. For example, international money transfers are both serious and frequent. People pay banks a service fee for every single transaction because it's a very important task, and tons of these transactions happen every day. Ideally, the problem you intend to solve should be as serious and frequent as possible. However, I'm sure you can see the biggest problem a mile away: competition. So instead of both, you could aim for a problem that's either very serious or very frequent. Either one can still result in paying customers, just very different price points. So how do you find out what people think of this problem? Come closer, I'll tell you. You ask them.
Okay.
If you belong to a certain industry or hobby, you likely belong to communities of like-minded people. They are a priceless resource of information and potential beta testers and early adopters. So offer a gift card for a cup of coffee and talk to them in person for qualitative data. And prepare forms and questionnaires for them to fill out to get quantitative data. Online, I will always go back to Reddit. In fact, let's go back to that bullying trend. How do we know that the poster isn't a founder conducting market research? We don't. But if they were, they just got a shitload of useful secondary data. Not only did they discover the problem is very real, the amount of responses tells them a lot of stakeholders are affected. And the responders took the time to drill down into details so a founder could easily map it to a solution. And there are literally subreddits for everything. You can try this out on any topic. No responses to your question? That should tell you all you need to know. 1 million replies echoing your sentiments? You're onto something. As you interview and quiz people, one of the questions you should ask is how much people would pay for this solution, which brings us to cost versus price point. Some solutions don't exist simply because they are not profitable. The cost of developing something may be so high that it has to be priced at a point users either can't afford or don't want to pay. It sounds sad that an app might solve an important problem, but I can't make it profitable, so development never happens. That's just the reality of a free market. There are 1 million costs involved in app and SaaS development, but at this stage, keep it simple and look at one thing: how much people will pay. Development and maintenance cost. Even if you decide to use a no-code app builder to create an MVP for very low cost, eventually you will need to engage a developer to fully flesh out your app. Development costs for a quality app are not cheap, tens of thousands easily. Once your app has been built and starts running, the maintenance phase starts. We need to keep it updated, fix new bugs that pop up, develop new features that users want, upgrade the backend to serve a growing number of users, and this is a monthly expense. Your cost will tell you the minimum price you need to charge to be profitable. If users aren't willing to pay that, you have an app, but you won't have a business. And you won't have an app for very long either. To find out how much people will pay for your solution, I always recommend the Buffer way if possible. They created fake landing pages explaining their product with different price points, and anyone who was interested had to share their email. Simple but brilliant. To find out what development cost of a particular app will be, the best thing you can do is meet a developer. Send them an email explaining the details of your app, the problem it intends to solve, the target users, everything you know. The more we know about your vision, the more accurately we can estimate what's needed and what it costs. If it looks like a bad idea, kill it. Go back to idea generation and find another one. So if you have something that looks promising and you would like a clearer idea of the cost, there's a link in the description for those interested in working with us. Hit me up and let's talk. If you're speaking to developers about development cost, you need to understand the factors behind it. A lot of non-techies don't really appreciate what a huge commitment it is. Because it's digital, you can't see it, but it's there. Building an app is like any construction project. The bigger you want to build, the more it's going to cost you. When you know what the factors are, you get better at avoiding two kinds of developers you don't want. Greedy developers who overcharge you, underqualified developers who lure you in with low-ball offers. Here's a video where I go into everything you need to know about app development cost, and I recommend you to check it out. Lastly, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.